Hello and welcome to Blue Army TV. I'm sitting here after I've just arrived back from a 1-0 defeat away from home at Port Vale in what arguably wasn't our finest performance of the season. It's not really arguably at all, to be perfectly reasonable, but it's another loss. It means we've now lost 3, drawn 2, won none in the league this season. If you want to add cup games into that, we've lost 4, drawn 2. It's another game that we've lost by 1 goal. That seems to be the pattern over this season. And it's once again been an instance where we can't score. We've got 6 strikers at the club now, yet all of our goals have come from midfield Owen Moxon, and even then that's only 2 goals in 5 league games, and if you want to add the cup game as well, it's 2 goals in 6 games. It's really not great from an attacking point of view. And look, I think Paul Simpson even said in his interview today, which I'll get onto, we created chances, and we're creating chances a lot better, but we're just not finishing them. No, we're not finishing them. Sean Maguire had a good chance. There was a few others. Owen Moxon, Callum Guy had good shots. Jack Armour had a good chance where he couldn't get the shot off. Jordan Gibson late on couldn't get a shot off, and that seems to be the pattern. We're creating chances, and I think the Sean Maguire one for me is the big one, because a player of that quality, I've always just assumed once he gets that good chance, he's gonna take it, and he didn't. Look, it's not the easiest header in the world, and he's not a big guy. He's not known for his heading ability. But right in the middle of the goal, and you somehow manage to put it wide, it's quite difficult to put it wide from that angle. And you look back towards the start of this season as well, the first game of the season, Jordan Gibson misses a big chance against Fleetwood. We've missed lots of chances, and I'm not digging out Jordan Gibson. In my opinion, he's been one of our best players this season. It's quite unusual that we've dropped him for today, in fact. But going on to people who've been dropped for today, one of the big talking points will be about the goalkeepers today. Jokul Anderson, I believe is how you used to say it, started in nets today over Thomas Hawley, the first time in well over a season that we've seen someone other than Thomas Hawley start in the league. And look, it's not going to be a debut that Anderson will want to remember, after making a very big mistake that causes a penalty to be given. And it is a blatant penalty, and in my opinion he's very lucky not to be sent off, and he somehow got away with not even getting a yellow. Look, a lot of blame will go to John Mellish, and rightfully so. I think the blame has to be put on both of them. It's a horrendous pass back from John Mellish, or a throwback I should say, that he just doesn't need to do, and Paul Simpson really dug him out in the interview. That isn't a throw-in that should be made. It just shouldn't happen. But it did, and it's a disappointing one for us to give away, because it really was against the run of play at that point in the game. Port Vale started the game very well. 10-15 minutes, they had all of the ball and created a couple of chances for themselves. But after that, I thought we were possibly the better team. We get into half time. It's a good 0-0, and you think we can go on to win this if we can keep creating chances like we have, and if we can score a goal. I think we'll win it, because we didn't look like conceding. We were defending very, very well, and then our centre back John Mellish takes a throw in, which I've never seen him try and do that before, and I haven't seen any Carlisle player try and do that possibly ever. He throws it from a dangerous position already across his own box to attempt to get back to the keeper. It's a high pass. The keeper has to try and control it on his chest, which, look, as a professional goalkeeper he should probably be able to do, but he tries to control it on his chest. It bounces off him, and he has to foul the player to stop a definite goal. They go on to score the penalty, and you're looking at absolutely shooting the confidence of a keeper who's just been put in to make his debut. And look, I've been very critical of Thomas Hawley. Did I want him dropped? Probably not. But now we're in a very difficult position where we've had a keeper who's had a bit of a howler today, and we've had Thomas Hawley, who's probably shot for confidence because he's been dropped in the league. It's a difficult situation to go into, and I really don't like switching between your keepers. I think you've got to stick with one and stick with that keeper. You know, Ben Foster talks about it a lot on his YouTube channel, which is a very good channel. Mark Howard spoke about it on his podcast before. You've got to have a definite number one to start the season, and I think it's another thing to notice that Anderson's a left footer, so, and which is a big deal because the back line in front of the goalkeeper has to be comfortable and familiar with how to pass back to the keeper. They need to know where the keeper's going to be. They're drastically different things to do. You don't pass to a left-footed player the same way you do to a right-footed player, for example. And with their position will be different as well because he's relying more on his left foot. So the pass-back game is going to be very different between the two keepers. And look, they'll train with them both every day. But when you've got a settled back five, which we have, that back five has started every game I'm aware of, apart from the occasional dropping of Finn back due to fitness concerns to put Jack Ellis in. But at the end of the day, that back five is pretty much settled. You need a settled keeper behind that, and you need that relationship to form between the back five and the goalkeeper. It is really a crucial thing in your defensive solidity, and you can't form that if you keep swapping between the keepers, which for me means... And I'm sure Paul Simpson knows the same thing. It's going to be interesting next season. Anderson has been given the chance today. Whether Paul Simpson liked that or not, we'll find out next week. Because I genuinely believe the keeper that starts next week against Shrewsbury will start the rest of the season. That's what it should be, anyways. Will he stick with the decision of dropping Hawley and keeping Anderson there? Maybe he'll grow in confidence. Maybe he'll become a really good keeper. He's still only very young. And I've said it in the past, I don't think Paul Simpson signs players without... He doesn't sign players on loan without the idea to sign them permanently in the long run. And I think that is the same thing with this Anderson. Does he want to get this young keeper in? Does he want to establish himself as a number one to then... be a number one going forward for many years to come with him being such a young age, or to make a profit on in the future if he develops well, I don't know. But it'll say a lot on who starts next week, because I think whoever starts next week will be the number one. Who do I think should be that number one keeper? I honestly don't know. I don't train. I don't see them train every day like Paul Simpson, the goalkeeping coaches, do. But if I've seen anything from today, it probably should be Thomas Hawley, because Thomas Hawley's made mistakes in the past, but at the moment, this Anderson's had a 100% record of not keeping clean sheets, and you're going up against the clean sheet leader in Thomas Hawley, having, I think it was something like 20 last season, or 18 in the league, numbers along those lines. He's definitely more familiar with the squad, which is a big thing for a goalkeeper, but I don't know. Whoever the keeper is next week will be the definitive keeper. But that really wasn't the big problem today. It was a big problem, but the big problem is that we can't score. The overall problem at the club is that we can't score goals. Now this new number 12 we've got, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Fast he's meant to be, and he looked good. He almost scored today. And I don't think it was his fault that he didn't score. It wasn't a missed chance or anything. It was just a lovely sort of smother from the keeper as he got onto the ball. There was nothing he could have done about it. Will he be the answer? I don't know, but it's still very much believed that Paul Simpson is going to try and get another striker in the last few days of the window. Now, it looks like Dean Henderson might be going to Crystal Palace, which is another talking point. Whether it's a loan to buy, which would be devastating for the club, or whether it's a buy option, which would inevitably put some money into the club's pockets. Maybe we can fork out that extra 200 grand or whatever we were below for Luke Armstrong. Maybe the striker that we missed out on, we can now go and put an improved offer in for with the Dean Henderson money. I don't think that's the case at all. I think that it's less a matter of that we don't have the money, or more that we don't want to spend it. It'll be both, in fact. It'll be the fact that we don't have the money, and even if we did have that money, we're not going to pay that much for a striker. But we need to get someone in, and we need to get someone in bad. And I look at the business that's being done even in League 2. Barra, in fact, signed Dom Telford. That's a striker I'd have been happy with. He definitely knows where the back of the net is. Top scorer in League 2 not so long ago. You take a punt on a non-league guy that's doing really well, or the Annan striker that scored a lot of goals. I think it's called Goss. You try something different. You put an offer in, because at the end of the day, we're desperate. No matter what Paul Simpson says, we're desperate for a goal scorer. And it looks like we're just going to have to fork out the money for it. Now, there's the argument that the old board might not want to put that much money into the club, considering we're going to sell before long. But the money they're going to pay, I'd imagine, is probably still in the club unless out of their own pockets. So at the end of the day, maybe that isn't the big deal. Maybe they don't want to make big financial decisions just before a new owner's coming in. I don't know, but to keep the club in League 1, it looks like we're going to need a goal scorer, or it looks like some of the goal scorers we've already got need to up their game quite a lot, which I think can happen as well. I think Sean Maguire is a lot better player than that missed chance, Strikers will miss chances, and that seems to be the only big one he's been given since he came here. You can see the quality in him, you can see some of his little touches, some of his passes. He's a very good player, and I think he will be one of the front two that we see going into this season as our first choice. It's just somebody we need to put next to him. Will it be the new guy from Fulham? Will it be Ryan Edmondson? Will it be a bit of a outside shout of like a Dan Butterworth, although I think he's more of a replacement for Sean Maguire as that kind of striker? It's that big frontman number 9 that we need. Will it be Plange who started today, who did certain things right? He definitely looked a lot quicker and a lot sharper than he has done, especially when he first started against Fleetwood. There's some big decisions that need to be made, and I'm not the man to make them. But at the end of the day, I trust the manager. I trust Paul Simpson. He was absolutely fuming after today's result, and the interview I wasn't happy with that's been put out on the YouTube channel, where it's never good when a manager separates himself from the team, and that's what Paul Simpson did. And look, he's a brilliant football manager, and he's a brilliant man. It's just I thought that was something to keep an eye on. It's the fact that he said that he takes responsibility for defeats, and that he even said, I don't take responsibility for this defeat, which is not something you want to be hearing from the manager. It shows a real disconnect from the squad and the manager himself. And look, he's right. He is definitely right. It's one mistake by an individual player that's cost them. But you don't want to be hearing that for your manager, do you? It's just a little side thought. But yeah, let me know what you think. Thank you for watching the video. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And in a bit.